Chapter 13. Oliver trots sleepily down the stairs. Thomas tank engine pyjamas, Teddy in his arms. I'm glad that he's never understood what's wrong with Charlie. You're right, Oliver. Yeah. You gonna go to bed? What about Charlie? He'll be fine. Leave it all to me. Oliver nods and ambles back up the stairs, rubbing his eyes. I rush towards the kitchen door, which is closed. I feel sick. I'm not even fully awake. Charlie? I knock on the door. Total silence. I attempt to get in, but he's blocked it with something. Open the door, Charles. I'm not joking. I'll break the door. No, you won't. His voice is dead, empty, but I'm relieved because he's alive. I turn the handle down and push with my whole body. Don't come in! He sounds panicked, which makes me panicked because Charlie is never panicked, and that is what makes him Charlie. Don't come in here, please! There's a clattering of things being frantically moved around. I keep heaving my body on the door, and whatever it is blocking it begins to move away. I make a gap large enough for me to slip inside, and I do. No! Go away! Leave me alone! I look at him. Get out! He's been crying. His eyes are dark red and purple, and the darkness of the room drowns him in a haze. There's a plate of lasagna on the kitchen table, cold, untouched. All of our food has been removed from the cupboards, and the fridge and the freezer are set out in order of size and colour in various piles around the room. There are a couple of tissues in his hands. He's not better. I'm sorry, he croaks, slumped in the chair, head rolled backwards, eyes vacant. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I can't do anything. It's hard not to throw up. I'm sorry, he keeps saying. I'm so sorry. Where's Nick? I say. Why is he not with you? He goes deep red, and he mumbles something inaudible. What? We argued. He left. I start shaking my head, and it goes from left to right in an uncontrollable act of defiance. That bastard. That stupid bastard. No. Victoria, it was my fault. My phone is in my hand and I am punching in Nick's number. He picks up after 2 rings. Hello? Do you understand the severity of what you have done, you absolute prick? Tori, what are you? If Oliver hadn't called me, Charlie might have... I can't even say it. This is entirely your fault. I'm not... Wait, what the hell's happened? What the hell do you think has happened? He's fucking relapsed. You upset him and he's fucking relapsed. Fuck you. I didn't. I trusted you. You were supposed to look after him. And now I've walked into the kitchen and he's... I shouldn't have gone out. I should have been here. I'm the person who is supposed to be there when this happens. Wait, what? I'm holding my phone so tight. I'm shaking. Charlie is looking at me, silent tears falling from his eyes. He is so old now. He's not a little kid. In a couple of months, he'll be 16, like me. He looks older than me, for God's sakes. He could pass for 18, easy. I drop the phone, draw up a chair next to my brother, and put my arms around him. Nick gets here and hugs Charlie immediately, the two of them mumbling apologies to each other for whatever argument they'd had. Then we clear up the kitchen. Charlie keeps wincing and clutching his head as I upset all of his precious piles of tins and packets. But I do it anyway, and soon he starts to help too. I get rid of the lasagna, I find the first aid kit and put plasters on Charlie's arms, and by that point he's kind of calmed down and sounds more frustrated at himself than anything else. We knew that there'd be good days and bad days, and sometimes they'd be particularly bad days, like these, but he only self-harms when he's at his absolute worst. It's been nearly 3 months since that last happened. I thought therapy had been helping. I thought he was doing better. I thought I was doing so well, he says, and then he lets out a sad laugh. This is just a blip, I tell him, and God, I hope I'm right. Just a blip, just a relapse. He'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Eventually, Nick and I escort him to bed. I'm sorry, says Charlie, lying in bed with his arms across his forehead. I'm standing at the doorway. Nick is on the floor in Charlie's spare pyjamas, which are much too small for him. with a spare duvet and pillow. He is staring at Charlie with an expression somehow simultaneously encompassing fear and love. I haven't forgiven him yet, but I know that he will redeem himself. I know that he cares about Charlie a lot. I know, I say, but I'm going to have to tell Mum and Dad. I know. I'll come back and check on you in a bit. Okay. I stand there after a while. He says, "Are you okay?" An odd question. In my opinion, he's the one who I'm completely fine. I turn out the light and go downstairs and call Dad. He stays calm. Too calm. I don't like it. I want him to freak out and shout and panic, but he doesn't. He tells me that they'll come home right away. I put the phone down, pour a glass of diet lemonade and sit in the living room for a while. It's the middle of the night. The curtains are all open. You do not find many people like Charlie Spring in the world. I suppose I have implied this already. You especially do not find many people like Charlie Spring at an all-boys school. If you want my opinion, all-boys schools sound like hell. Maybe it's because I don't know many boys. Maybe it's because I get pretty bad impression of the guys I see coming out of Truham Gates, pouring Lucasade into each other's hair, calling each other gay, and bullying gingers. I don't know. I don't know anything about Charlie's life at that school. I head back upstairs and peer into Charlie's room. He and Nick are now both fast asleep in Charlie's bed, Charlie curled into Nick's chest. I shut the door. I go to my room. I start shaking again, and I look at myself in the mirror for a long time. I begin to wonder if I really am Wednesday Addams. I think back to the last time Charlie relapsed. October. That was worse. It's very dark in my room, but the blog home page open on my laptop screen acts as a dim light blue lamp. I pace around in circles, around and around, until my feet hurt. I put on some Bon Iver and some Muse, and then see some Noah and the Whale. You know, really dumb, angsty stuff. I cry, and then I don't. There's a text on my phone, but I don't read it. I listen to the dark. They're all coming to get you. Your heart beats are fast or footsteps. Your brother is unwell. Your brother is unwell. You don't have any friends. Nobody feels bad for you. Beauty and the Beast isn't real. It's funny, because it's true. Don't be sad anymore. Don't be sad anymore. Chapter 14. 2:02 p.m. Michael Holding calling. Hello? I didn't wake you up, did I? Michael? No. Good. Sleep is important. How did you get my number? You called me, remember? Back in the IT room. I saved your number. That's very sneaky of you. I'd call it resourceful. Did you call about Charlie? I called about you. Is Charlie okay? He's just had a bad night. He's at therapy and with our parents right now. Where are you? In bed. At 2 p.m? Yeah. Could I... What? Could I come over? Why? I don't like the thought of you being there on your own. You remind me of an old person who lives alone, like with cats and daytime television. Oh, really? And I am a friendly young chap who would like to pop over so you can reminisce about the war and share some tea and biscuits. I don't like tea. But you like biscuits? Everyone likes biscuits. I'm not in a biscuit mood today. Well, I'm still coming over, Tori. You don't have to come over. I'm completely fine. Don't lie. He's coming over. I don't bother changing out of my pyjamas or brushing my hair or seeing if my face actually looks human. I don't care. I don't get out of bed, even though I'm hungry, accepting the fact that my unwillingness to get up will probably result in the death from starvation. Then I realise I can't possibly let my parents have 2 children who knowingly starve themselves. Oh God, dilemma. Even lying in bed is stressful. The doorbell rings and makes my decision for me. I stand in the porch with one hand on the open door. He stands on the top step looking much too preppy and much too tall, with his hair side parted and his glasses stupidly large. His bike is chained to the fence. I hadn't noticed last night, but that it actually has a basket on it. It's minus a billion degrees, but he's just in a t-shirt and jeans again. He looks me up and down. Oh dear. I go to shut the door on him, but he holds it open with one hand. I can't stop him after that. He just grabs me, his arms wrapped around me. His chin rests on my head. His arms are trapped at my arms are trapped at my sides, and my cheek is sort of squashed into his chest. The wind twirls around us, but I'm not cold. He makes me a cup of tea. I hate tea, for God's sakes. We drink out of faded mugs at the dinner table. He asks me, "What do you normally do on Saturdays? Do you go out?" "Not if I can help it," I say. "What do you do?" "I don't really know." I take a sip of the dirty water. "You don't know?" He leans back. Time passes. I do stuff. Some of it matters, some of it doesn't. I thought you were an optimist. He grins. Just because something doesn't matter doesn't mean it's not worth doing. The light in our kitchen is off. It's very dark. "So where shall we go today?" I shake my head. I can't go out. Oliver's here. He blinks at me. "Oliver?" I wait for him to remember, but he doesn't. "My 7-year-old brother? I did tell you I had 2 brothers. He blinks again. "Oh, yeah, you did." He's really quite excited. "Is he like you? Can I meet him?" Sure. I call Oliver and he comes downstairs. After a minute or so, with the tractor in one hand, still in his pyjamas, and dressing gown on. The dressing gown has tiger ears on the hood. He stands on the stairs, leans on the banister, and stares into the kitchen. Michael introduces himself, of course, with a wave and a blinding smile. "Hello, I'm Michael." Oliver introduces himself too, with equal vigor. "My name is Oliver. Jonathan Spring," he says, waving his tractor around. "And this is Tractor Tom." He holds Tractor Tom to his ear and listens before continuing. "Tractor Tom doesn't think you're dangerous. So you're allowed to go into the living room, Tractor, if you want." "I would be absolutely delighted to visit the living room, Tractor," says Michael. I think he's a little surprised. Oliver is nothing like me whatsoever. Oliver studies him with judging eyes. After a moment of contemplating, he holds a hand up to his mouth and whispers loudly to me, "Is he your boyfriend?" This actually makes me laugh out loud. A real laugh. Michael laughs too and then stops and looks at me while I continue smiling. I don't think he's seen me laugh before. Has he seen me smile properly before? He doesn't say anything. He just looks. And that is how the rest of my Saturday comes to be, spent with Michael holding. I didn't bother changing. Michael invades our kitchen cupboards and teaches me how to make a chocolate cake. And then we eat the chocolate cake. For the rest of the day, Michael cuts the cake into cubes, not slices. And when I query him on this, he simply replies, "I don't like to conform to typical cake cooking conventions." Oliver keeps running up and down, showing Michael his large and varied collections of tractors, in which Michael takes a politely enthusiastic interest. I have a nap in my room between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m, while Michael, he's on the floor and reads Metamorphosis. When I wake up, he tells me why the main character isn't really the main character, or something like that. And also, how he didn't like the ending because the supposed main character dies. Then he apologizes for spoiling the end for me. I remind him I don't read. After that, the 3 of us clamber inside the living room tractor and play this old board game called Game of Life that Michael found under my bed. You receive all this money, sort of like Monopoly, and then the object of the game appears to have the most successful life, the best job, the highest income, the biggest house, the most insurance. It's a very old game. Anyway, that takes up about 2 hours, and after another round of cake, we play Sonic Heroes on the PS2. Oliver triumphantly beats us both, and I have to give him a piggyback for the rest of the evening as a result. Once I put him on the bed, I make Michael watch the Royal Tenenbaums with me. We both cry when Luke Wilson and Gwyneth Paltrow decide they have to keep their love a secret. It is 10 o'clock when Mum and Dad and Charlie get home. Charlie goes straight upstairs to the bed without saying anything to me. Michael and I are on the sofa in the living room, and he's playing me some music on my laptop. He's got it hooked up to the stereo. Piano music or something. It's making us both doze off, and I'm leaning on him, but not in a romantic way or anything. Mum and Dad sort of stop in the doorway and just stay there, blinking, paralysed. "Hello," says Michael. He jumps up and holds out a hand to Dad. "I'm Michael Holden. I'm Tori's new friend." Dad shakes it. "Michael Holden, right. Nice to meet you, Michael." Michael shakes Mum's hand as well, which I think is a bit weird. I don't know, I'm not an expert on social etiquette. "Right," says Mum. "Of course. Tori's friend." "I hope it's all alright that I came round," says Michael. "I met Tori a couple of weeks ago. I thought she might be a bit lonely." "Not at all," says Dad, nodding. "That's very kind of you, Michael." This conversation is so boring, and I cliched that. I'm almost tempted to fall asleep, but I don't. Michael turns back to Dad. "I read Metamorphosis while I was here. Tori told me that you lent it to her. I thought it was brilliant." "You did?" The light of literature dawns in Dad's eyes. "What did you make of it?" They carry on talking about literature while I'm laying on the sofa. I see my mum stealing glances at me, as if trying to stare the truth out of me. "No," I telepathically tell her. "No, Michael is not my boyfriend. He cries at Beauty and the Beast. He taught me how to make chocolate cake. He stalked me when I went to a restaurant and pretended to forget why."